द्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि। सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम्। Page 365. अथय आत्मा ससेतुः विधृतिः येषां लोकानाम् असम्भेदाय नैतं सेतुम् अहोरात्रे तरतः। न जरा न मृत्युः न शोको न सुकृतं न दुष्कृतम्। सर्वे पाप्मानः अतो निवर्तन्ते। अपहत पाप्मा ह्येष ब्रह्मलोकः। अथ आत्मा ससेतुः। उक्त लक्षण आत्मा सह सेतुः। Further, सुगुणैः पुनः स्तूयते. The Atma is once again stuyate, extolled. In this case, to glorify the Atma itself, who is to be meditated upon, for showing how it is worthwhile to observe even the discipline of brahmacharya or celibacy for attainment of Atma such as that. So Atma is so great that even the vrata or vow of brahmacharya is quite worthwhile for realizing the self. Brahmacharya sadhana sambandhatham, for connecting the self with the sadhana and the means of the nature of brahmacharya or celibacy. So it is setuhu vidhrutihi naitam setum ahoratre taratah. The day and night, na jara, the old age, na mrityu, the death, na shokaha, na grief, na sukrutam, na duskrutam, neither virtue nor vice, na taranti, they do not reach this Atma. As you said yesterday, the self is different from all of them. All of these have a certain reality, which is what we call the vyavaharik satta or the the objective reality. But the Atma is Paramatmika reality, is absolutely real. So just as a snake cannot in any way affect the rope, and so also none of these can affect the self. There's a simple explanation that none of these ever reach. So then Tarati was explained two ways. They do not reach or they do not cross over. So the through also means crossover. So no question of crossing over, they cannot even reach the Atma, because Atma is beyond them. Bhashyakara explained differently. Karanam hi Atma. Atma or Brahman or Sat is described as the material cause of the entire universe, including the time and space and old age and death and everything. Nahi karana atikramam na shakyam karana atikramam kartum karyena. The effect can never cross over the material cause. Ahoratradi sarve satah karyam, and all this day and night, this time itself is the product of the self, is born of the self. That's one thing. Second is, for reaching or transgressing or crossing over, one thing can cross over. So Bhashyakara gives two reasons. One is the relationship that Atma enjoys with time is one of cause and effect, or the material cause and effect. An effect or karya can never reach or cross over the material cause. Secondly, for reaching or crossing over, you require two entities. One entity can reach the other entity, where that duality is there. Natu teneva tasya. But Atma is the very self of time and space and old age and very self. So number one, it is material cause, that's one thing. Second, it is the self, that's a different thing. And therefore, for time to reach Atma or time to cross over Atma, time has to cross over itself, because both ways it is like a pot trying to cross over the clay, where clay is its own Atma. लहर ढूंढे नहर को, कपड़ा ढूंढे सूत, जीव ढूंढे ब्रह्म को, ऊत के ऊत. So each one is trying to, reach its own self. So these two reasons are given why time of the nature of the samvatsara, meaning the year, and ahoratra, the day and night, can neither reach nor can it cross over the self. Then Bhashyakara said that this is not to be looked upon as repetition. Formerly it was said, Esha Atma, Apahatapatma, Vijaraha, Vimrutyuhu, Vishokaha. So already the Atma was described as Apahatapatma, devoid of the sin, free from old age, free from death, free from grief. And essentially same thing is stated here. Na horatre atmanenam taratah, na mrityu, na jara, na mrityu, na shokah. None of these. So same thing is repeated. So says here, tatra avisheshena jaradi abhavamatra muktam. It was said in a general way that Atma is free from old age and death and grief. तथापि यह अयम विशेष न तरदीति प्राप्ति विषयत्वं प्रतिसिध्यते. So not only the Atma free from grief, old age and death, but old age and death and shoka can never reach Atma. So it's one thing that you are free from something, it is another thing that you are free from the influence of that thing. Meaning that this person is free from disease, but disease can reach him. He is right now free from old age, but old age can reach him. It's not like that in case of Atma, that Atma is free from old age and someday he will become old, that old age will reach him. He is free from death and someday he will be afflicted by death, no? So in general it was said earlier that it is free from old age and death and grief. And here it is specifically said, further said that he cannot be reached by, or this cannot reach or cross over the Atma. Again, apahata papma, it was said, Atma is free from papa or the sin. Ahoratradya ukta anukta sanye sarve papmana uchyante. So even day and night are also called papa. Time itself is papa. As far as living beings are concerned, time is their enemy. Because time wears them out. And ahoratre, the day and night are nothing but the expression of time. So day and night keep on revolving. It is a samvatsara, the year keeps on revolving through day and night. And therefore, they wear out this person. So they afflict him. They wear him out. They make him old. They cause suffering for him. Therefore, the day and night and the old age and the death and the grief, all of these are the expression of papa. Uktaha, anuktaha. Some papa or the sins are specifically stated here, some others are not stated because they are countless. So sarve papmana, that means Atma is free from all the papas. So that is the Vishesha here. That again not only it is free from papa, but then sarve papma atah nivartante, all the papas turn back from Atma. Apahata papma yesha brahmaloka, because brahmaloka is apahata papma, devoid of the sin. So then we continue the page 366. So next passage is Tasmadvai etam setum tirtva andassan anandho bhavate viddassan aviddho bhavate upatapi san anupatapi bhavate tasmadva etam setum tirtvapi nattam ahareva abhinishpadyate Sakrit vivato hi esha brahmalokaha. Tasmad, therefore. It's interesting that this passage begins with Tasmad, therefore. Why indeed, edam setum tirtva. So these fellows cannot cross over the setu. So, andahasan anando bhavati. When one crosses over the setu, meaning when one reaches the setu, when one realizes the setu as one's own self, that's what is meant. See, earlier passage said nobody can cross this setu. And now they say etam setum tirtva. So tirtva means knowing, realizing the setu, the Paramatma has one's own self. Andasan anando bhavati. Andha, blind, becomes cured of his blindness. Meaning he no more has the affliction of blindness. Once he realizes the setu as a self, no more is afflicted by the blindness. Blindness doesn't do anything to him. Not that blindness goes away. But formerly blindness was a great affliction for him. That I am blind, that was the cause of great sorrow for him. Now no more he suffers from that affliction that the physical blindness created, because no more does he look upon himself as a body. When he looked upon himself as a body, then of course he thought I was blind and suffering from that notion of blindness. Now they realize the Setu or the Atma is its own self, there is no more the notion of body and therefore blindness. Meaning he becomes free from all the papa. Apahata papma yesha brahmaloka. The brahmaloka is devoid of all the sins. What are the sins? Blindness is a sin. Vidya san aviddo bhavati. Vidya means wounded. A wounded person becomes cured of his wound. Upatapi san anupatapi bhavati. Upatapi, when afflicted, becomes free from afflictions. So this can be said with the explanation of the previous passage where it is said that apahata papma yesha brahmalokaha yatma apahata papma. All of these are expressions of papa. How he becomes free from all the papa when one realizes the Setu as one's own self. Because Setu is apahata papma. So one becomes apahata papma. All these papas no more affect him now. Tasmadve edam sedum tirtvapi. So naktam api. So that api goes naktam api harev abhinishpadyate. Therefore, for that reason, edam sedum tirtva, reaching this setu, the self. Naktam means night. Naktam api harev abhinishpadyate. Even night also turns into day, Night also turns into day. Meaning the darkness turns into light. So, number one, the Setu is apahata papma, meaning devoid of sin. Secondly, Setu is Atma, the very consciousness. The self-effulgent consciousness, and therefore anything that reaches that Setu becomes also consciousness. When the snake reaches a rope, becomes rope. Similarly, all of these also, when they reach Setu, meaning realizing Setu as their own self, they become that. So here, realizing and becoming are one. Realizing myself the 10th man is same as becoming 10th man. All these fellows become Atma. Andha also becomes Atma, Upatapi also becomes Atma, Vidya also becomes Atma, and everything becomes Atma, including the night. So night becomes day means what? Day stands for light, light stands for consciousness. Night also becomes consciousness because consciousness is the nature of everything. It's interesting how consciousness is the nature of ignorance also. Therefore, ignorance also becomes consciousness. Sakal vibhado eva esha brahmaloka, because brahmaloka is ever shining. Ever consciousness, and therefore whatever is Brahmaloka becomes Brahma. So both ways. If Brahmaloka is looked upon as a realm of Brahma, then also once you reach there, all these things have no reach there. There is no night there, there is only day there, there is only brightness, there is no darkness. There is no wound, there is no blindness, there is no affliction. So that also you can say about Brahmaloka. Or, as Bhashyakara insists, Brahmaloka, that in a primary sense, of course, all of these can only apply to Brahman. To Brahmaloka, this thing apply in a secondary sense. Because Brahmaloka is also impermanent in that sense, this will apply in a general sense that when you reach Brahmaloka, because the time scale is so vast that it's as good as eternal. Brahmaloka is as good as eternal from the standpoint of a human being or human lifespan. Brahmaloka is essentially eternal, trillions of years. You can't even imagine, And so, it is much longer than even this, this whole creation is only 12, 13 billion years still. Of course, we don't know how long it will go on. But then our scriptures say that one kalpa, one cycle of creation is some 27, some trillion years, which is one lifespan of Brahma, 100 years of Brahman. And therefore it is essentially eternal, but still not absolutely eternal. So So Brahmaloka also qualifies it in essential sense, but not in absolute sense. Therefore Bhashyakara explains Brahmaloka as Brahmayava Loka, Loka which is Brahman itself. So now going to Ananda Yathokta Setu Prapto Phalitamaha. Yathokta Setu Prapto Phalitamaha. Yathokta Setu Prapto. When you reach this Setu, Phalitam Aha. So what is Phalitam? What is the ultimate result? Yasmaditi. So Bhashyakara says, Yasmacha Papmakaryam Andhyari Shariravatasya न तो शरीरस्य तस्माद्वै एतमात्मानं सेतुं तीर्त्वा प्राप्य आनन्दो भवते देहवत्वे पूर्वम् अन्धोऽपि सन् Yasmacha, and for further reason also. Papmakaryam andhyadi. Andasan anandavodi. Blindness is the result of papa. So also wound, and so also any affliction, so also night, so also darkness, so also ignorance. Anything that is an obstruction to your happiness is looked upon as the product of sin. So andhyadi shariravata syat. The blindness and the wound, all of these can only happen to the one who possesses the body, or rather one who identifies with the body. Because his blindness, etc., is not there even in deep sleep. One is in fact not aware of the blindness, and therefore there is no suffering on account of blindness or even wound. If you are fast asleep, you become unaware of the pain in the body also. So it is Shariravata means what? One identified with the body. So since blindness, etc., is there only for the one who is identified with the body, where identification of the body is the primary sin, really. Most primary sin is ajnana, ignorance, for which we are not responsible. Thus, everybody is born sinner, So Christianity says everybody is born sinner. However, they interpret sin also as a technical word, But here we can say everybody is born ignorant. If ignorance is sin, well, except that fellow committed the sin. Adam committed a sin, and therefore we are all born sinners. Here nobody has committed sin. Nobody is responsible for ignorance. And the ignorance has come to me, and therefore these people are always conscious, a sense of guilty. There is a sense of guilt that we are all sinners. That a child is born of sin. That parents are committing sin, as Adam and Eve did, to bring about this creation. So anyway, that is how their explanation of sin is. But it is not as simple as this. And still, you may say, if you want to say we are all sinners, you can say that we are all born with ignorance. And since born with ignorance, ignorance results into automatically identification with the body-mind complex. Thus we are born with the notion that I am the body, I am the mind. And therefore, all the afflictions of the body become my afflictions. There is no distance between body and myself. And therefore what happens to body, happens to me. So, Shariravata syad. The blindness, etc., all of them happen to the one who is identified with the body. Natu asharirasya. Again, what do you mean asharira? So either you have to say that you are in Brahmaloka, or you have become free from the body because there is no next birth. So Sharirvataha means one possessing for the one possessing the body. Can be looked upon as long as you are alive, then you are the body. Or you can say that as long as you are identified with the body. So I don't know what Bhashyakara means here anyway. It can be interpreted either way. Tasmad vai, therefore, etam meaning atmanam setum tirtva. And therefore, reaching or crossing over the setu of the nature of Atma means what? Prapya, here it is, reaching. Not crossing over, but prapya, reaching. Anando bhavati. One becomes cured of blind, free from blindness. Dehavatve puram andhopi san. Even though earlier when he was having the body, he was blind. Now there is no body, he is no more blind. So what's the big deal about that? Whoever becomes free from body will become. So here the real thing is that he becomes free from blindness because of becoming free from identification of the body. Because when he given his body, even in dream also, as Brihadaranyaka explains, so mrityoho rupani tarate, he crosses over the death. What is death? Death is identity with the body and sense organs, etc. So when you go to even dream, you no more are afflicted by the affliction of this gross body. So that way, but then the only way you can say that you are free from body is when there is freedom from identification with the body. Because otherwise, even when a jiva departs from here, he departs with already a scheme of what body is going to have next, and therefore identification also with that body is already established. Even when he departs from this body, the identity with the other body is already established, and therefore he goes there as myself. So when he reaches that body, it is his self. So only way you can say that being free from body is only being free from identification with the body. So dehavatve puram andho visanna. On account of identification with the gross body, formerly looked upon himself as blind. Anando bhavati. But recognize himself as Atma, well, he knows, he sees himself as free from blindness. Look at the Tika on the line 35. Remember that this passage begins with the word tasmat, therefore. What is therefore? There must be hetu. So says yadyapi asya heto sadhya vishesha. Even though this hetu has to be established, tathapi siddhavan nirdeshat. So tasmat. Tasmat, already you know what the hetu is, so siddhavat nirdeshat. Tad hetu kartrutvadi abhiman rahityamya vivakshitamidi bhavaha. So understand anandaho tasmat. Therefore a person who is blind becomes free from blindness. For what reason? It has not been stated. So you would imagine that it is kartrutvadi abhimana rahityam. When one becomes free from the identification, the kartrutva, doership, meaning identity with the body. Therefore, so yata yasmad and tasdi, yasmad has to be provided. So kartrutva abhimana rahityam iti vivakshitam. So what is intended here is the rahityam, freedom from the identification or notion of kartrutva, the doership, etc. All the tikas yadva. Yasmat, because earlier said apahata papma he said brahmaloka tasmat. So really the Shruti has already given the hetu. In the previous passage concluded with this verse, apahata papma hi esha brahmaloka hai. This brahmaloka is devoid of sin, tasmat, therefore. Since andhra etc. is all expression of sin, he becomes free from all of them. So Tika says, yes, yadva, yasmat apahata papma brahmaloka hai. See, Brahmaloka is devoid of papa or sin. Yasmacha papa karyam andhyadi. And then again, andhyadi, the blindness, etc., the effect of papa. Sharirvata syad. The papa or the sin can have effect only on the body. That's another thing. So papa, punya, all of these are in the realm of vyavahara, objective reality. Therefore, all of them have their effect or impact only on that part of ourselves which has this objective reality, vyavaharika satta, which is what? The body, mind, sense complex. And so, sharirvataha andhyadi syad. And so, since papa only affects the body, and that's why there is blindness, tasmat setum atmanam praptasya deha lakshana shariratva abhava. That's what this Tikakara clearly says. Therefore, setum atmanam prapya, attaining setu which is atman, meaning that when you now identify atma with atma, there is no more identification in the body. So when the beggar identifies himself as the actor, there is no more identification in the beggar. So whatever afflictions were there as a beggar are no more there when he sees himself as the actor. Therefore, setum atmanam praptasya. So one who has attained the setu, namely atman. Now if it is upasana, then it is actually attainment of Brahmaloka. If it is knowledge, then it is knowing setu as my own self. Either way, deha vimilakshana shariratva abhavad. This body is no more than in Brahmaloka. Or when you see yourself as Atma, there is no more than identification of the body or awareness of the body. Andhyadi na bhavati. Therefore, the blindness, etc., they do not happen to this person. Iti uttaratra hetutvena va yojyam. So therefore, we must take the previous sentence. Apahata papma yesha brahmaloka tasmat. And that's how that must be taken as a hetu. Then continuing. So therefore, Anandi says, Swabhavikamasya anarthatvam ashankya dehavatve. Yeah, blindness is blindness. How can you become cured of blindness? If you are blind, then you are blind. Swabhavikam asya anarthatvam. Blindness causes affliction anyway. So therefore it is said, dehavatve puram andobhisan. Formerly, because he was identified with the body, therefore he looked upon himself as blind, and no more that blindness is there. When he sees himself as Atma, there is a setu. Then Bhashyakara says, Tatha viddasan dehavatve saha dehaviyoge setum prapya aviddho bhavati tatha upatapi rogadi upatapavan san anupatapi bhavati. Tatha viddasan dehavatve. So when one looked upon oneself as wounded because of identification of the body, deha viyoga, now deha viyoga can be after death also, because viyoga. Bhashyakara says viyoga. So Tikakara said dehabhivana lakshana sariyatva abhavat. So really it should be the freedom from identification of the body. Setum prapya, because if you have to reach the setu after departing from the body, it is setu on of the Brahmaloka. See, Brahmaloka can be attained only after departure from this body. But Brahmaiva loka. When Brahma itself is loka with itself, then no question of departing from the body, becoming free from identification of the body. So Bhashyakara deha viyoga. Anyway, you would either interpret that as becoming free from identification with the body. Aviddho bhavati becomes free from wound, cure of wound. Tatha upatapi, one is afflicted. Rogadi upatapavan san. So formally again, on account of identification of the body, he looked at himself afflicted by disease, etc. Anupatapi bhavati, he is no more afflicted now because there is no more the notion that I am the body. Then says Anandagiri now on the page 367, Itas Atma Seto Asti Mahabhagadayatvam Ityaha. All of this is stuti or praise of Atma. All these are all real things anyway. It is not that, so praising is only when it is not so. They are all realities about Atma. So they are all lakshanas in fact. But anyway, still glorifying the Atma by describing the glories of the Atma. You just say for this further reason also, Atma Setoho Asti Mahabhagadayatvam. That Atma, that Setu, is indeed is very glorious. Mahabha, it's a great glory of the Atma, that Setu, for this further reason also. Or if you look at the other Tika, Yasmat ahorata shabditau prakasha prakasho brahmani nastah. So just as sun itself is in fact free from the idea of night and the idea of day also. So idea of day is only with reference to idea of night. There is no night, then there is no day. In the sun, there is no night and therefore there is no day. There is no darkness, so there is no light also, understand. The concept of light comes when there is the concept of darkness. So light is in reference to darkness. Night is in reference to day. Or day is in reference to night and light is in reference to darkness. In sun, because there is no darkness and no night, there is no day or there is no light also. Similarly, in the sun there is Atma. Yasmat ahorata sabditau prakasha prakasho brahmani nastah. Ahorata sabdito, what are called aho and ratri, meaning that day and night. Prakasha prakasho, day stands for the light, night stands for darkness. Brahmani nastah, none of them is there because all of them are only reality, objective reality. The day and night also are nothing expression of time, which is again only vyavaharika satta. It's mithya. And therefore they don't have existence in Brahman. Sakrut vibhadatvat tasya, because Brahman is of the nature of what? Of all ever shining. So Brahman is ever shining light of consciousness. Tasmat tat praptasya vidusha kadachit aprakasho nasti. Therefore the Vidwan, the wise person, who recognizes to his own self, there is no prakasha, there is no darkness. So either darkness of night in case of Brahmaloka or darkness of ignorance in case of wise person. Sharira abhimanasamiva. So when you identify the body, there was the question of day and night. When that identity is no there, not there, the ideas of day and night also are not there. What is there? Only light, which is consciousness. So consciousness transcends the ideas of day and night both. It illumines day and night both. Consciousness illumines the day as well as night because we become aware of night only because of the consciousness that illumines that. Kintu sada prakasha rupa eva bhavati. So vidusha prakasha rupa bhavati or vidwan prakasha rupa eva bhavati. So, Vidusha, that is right, but how Vidusha Prakash Rupa bhavati? So then Vidusha Aprakasho nasti. So Vidusha Prakasha asti. Prakasha Rupa bhavati. So Vidwan Prakasha bhavati or whatever. So Sarvajñatvad Prakrita Brahmalokas tuyate. Because Vidwan becomes Sarvajña. He becomes all-knowing because there is only light of knowledge. And he becomes consciousness that elimines all the knowledge. In that sense, he becomes omniscient. Prakrita Brahmalokas tuyate. In that manner also, the Brahmaloka, that is the subject matter of discussion, is further extolled. This is Uttar Vakyam Vyachaste. That's how Bhashyakara explains the following statement or passage as a stuti of Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka is further extolled by the next sentence in the Shruti. What is it? Tasmadvai idam setum tirtvapi naktam ahareva avinishpadyate. There is a further stuti of Brahmaloka. So Bhashyakara says, page 367, Kincha yasmad ahoratre nastah setau tasmadvai etam setum tirtva prapya naktamapi tamo rupam ratri api sarvam ahah eva avinishpadyate. Kincha yasmad ahoratre nastah seto. Yasmad, since ahoratre, day and night are not there in the setu. Who told you that? Ahore enam ahoratre na tarataha. The earlier passage said that ahoratre, the day and night, do not reach this setu. That means setu is divided of day and night. Therefore Bhashyakara brings about that. So yasmat Papma, so apahada papma, and then again further. So what is said in previous passage becomes a reason, hetu, for what is said in this passage. Kincha yasmat ahoratre nastah setu. Since in setu the day and night are not there, tasmadi, for that reason also, etam setum tirtva. Crossing this setu, reaching this setu, means prapya. Naktamapi, not only wise person becomes free from his blindness, etc., but the night itself becomes day. That's the idea here. So there is a different thing. The wise person, of course, becomes free from blindness and darkness, but the darkness becomes light when it reaches this setu. So naktamapi tamo rupam ratriyapi sarvam ahareva avinishpadyate. So here kartrutvam is in naktam. So night also, which is tamo rupam, which is the nature of darkness. Ratri api, the night. Sarvam, all of that, ahareva avinishpadyate. And that also becomes day. That's the, a complete miracle. That night turns into day, darkness turns into light. So Anandagiri says, Katham sarvabhi tamo rupam ahareva vidushasyaditi. So, how come sarvamapi tamo rupam? All that is of the nature of darkness, how can it become the ahara day? So, what is all darkness and night? How can they become day for the wise person? Nividyapi viruddhavartha siddhyati. Even knowledge also cannot change the nature. So, night is night. So by knowing the night, it doesn't become day. How can knowing the darkness, how can it become light? Or knowing the night, how it can become day? So knowledge cannot change the nature. Iti ashankya vignapte iti. Bhashyakara says, Vignaptyatma jyotiswarupam aha iva aha sada ekarupam vidushas sampadyate. इत्यर्थः. Vignapti Atma Jyoti Swarupa. Vignapti is consciousness. Atma Jyoti, which is the nature of the light that is the self. So what's the nature of light of the self? Is light of consciousness. A light of a different class. So this light is something that is opposed to darkness. That's a light that is not opposed to darkness also. Light of consciousness, not opposed even to darkness. So, Vignapti Atma Jyoti Swarupamiva Aha Sada Ekarupam Vidusha Sampadhyate. So for the wise person, all of this becomes nothing but the light of nature of consciousness. So Vidwan sees himself as a consciousness, and this is the self of all. So self of darkness also is consciousness. So formerly what was darkness for the wise person when he was ignorant or identified with the body? Now that he is identified with Brahman, that there is no more that darkness also is nothing but consciousness only, because consciousness is the self of everything, including darkness and ignorance and night. Sada ekarupam vidusha sampadhyate. Sakrut vibhata sada ekarupam. Always. Not that the light. So here it is not sada ekarupam. Here the light goes and darkness comes. The day goes and night comes. So here, on this Martya Loka, that also is Martya Loka. This is Martya Loka, the Brahma Loka. Oh, Martya Loka is identification of the body, and Brahma Loka is the knowledge identification of Brahman, either way. And so, Sada Ekar, here it is not Sada Ekarupam, but there it's Sada Ekarupam, because Atma is ever consciousness. Therefore, the conditions of the world do not affect the self. Tatra hetumaha. What's the reason why everything turns into the day or light for the wise person? Sakruditi. The Bhashyakara says, Sakrut vibhataha, Sada vibhataha, Sada ekarupaha, Svena rupena, Esha brahmalokaha. Sakrut means once actually, but here Sada. So what Sakrut is? Sada vibhata is ever shining. Sada ekarupaha, Svena swarupena. Brahmaloka means Brahman is ever the same consciousness, by its own true nature is ever the consciousness, ever shining consciousness. See Anandagiri, Brahma Lakshana, Avedya Lokaha, Swaprakasha, Chidekatanaha yataha avatishtade ataha, Tadrupatvat, Vidushaha, Yathokta Rupatvam, Aviruddham ityarthaha. Brahma Lakshana, Avedya Lokaha. Since the loka of the nature of Brahman, which was avedya, which cannot be objectified, which is one's own self, aparoksha. Swaprakasha chidekatanaha. If that was the light that could be objectified, then Vedya, this light is what Vedya, meaning what can be objectified. The light that is Brahman is consciousness is avedya, meaning what cannot be objectified. It's the very self. Swaprakasha chidekatanaha yataha avatishtade. Since light of consciousness that Brahman is always the nature of consciousness, unchanging consciousness. Ataha, therefore, tad rupatvat vidushan, therefore, Vidwan recognizes Brahman such as that is his own self. Yathokta rupatvam aviruddham, therefore, that Vidwan also the nature of ever of nature of light is aviruddham. There is no contradiction. How can a night turn into day? How can darkness turn to light? Because the self is of the nature of ever shining light of consciousness, and therefore it's self of everything. That being the case, night also, even if there is night, even if there is darkness out there or night, For the wise person, there is still only light. What's the light of consciousness? He sees himself only as a consciousness, and therefore is always established in the ever shining light. So for him there is no darkness. Go to the other Tika on the line 24. Ratrivachana naktamiti anena katham aprakashakam tamo rupam gruhyate idyasankya. So Bhashyakara said, Naktamapit tamo rupam ratriyapi. So Ratrivachana, Naktam means night. So Naktancharaha, Nishacharaha, Naktancharaha, those fellows always wander at night. All the Daityas. So Devata, the Devatas, function during the day, the Rakshasas function during night. And all these animals, some of them are always active at night, like the cat and all these are called Naktanchara. The tigers and all these animals which are all predators, they all become active at night. And their eyes with them, they can see through darkness also. You can see the eyes are shining. So in the night also of darkness, you can see the eyes of a lion or a tiger from a distance, like a bulb, because it can see in the night also. But other creatures cannot see. Those fellows, like the deer and the fellows who function during the day, cannot see at night. And so this fellow has a nice time. Just as the owl is also a Naktanchara, it can see at night. And these other birds cannot see at night, so therefore it will attack them at night. Anyway, that's how I think Kudrat, that the Prakriti or the nature has created things, so that everybody gets their share, and everybody has somebody who everybody can become food for somebody else. Nobody is free. So Ratrivachana Naktamiti anene katham aprakashakam tamo rupam gruhyate. So Naktam means night. So why do you say it is darkness? Aprakasham. Ityasang gaunya vritya. So Ratri iva. So wherever that iva is, you Ratri api, maybe this tika Ratri iva, maybe. Ratri sadusham tamo rupam samaha iti anvaya. So, anyway, Ratri sadusham, the darkness which is like the night, is all of the becomes all light, becomes day. Ashabdena be dinavachana prakashagana yogena vijnanatma jyoti lakshate. Even day also implies light. And that implies the light of consciousness. So lakshate. So vijnanatma jyoti. Even the word that is used here is what? Ahaha. Which means day. Dinavachana. So literal meaning is day. Prakasha guna yogena. So one characteristic of day is light. And then the light, vijnanatma jyoti, implies the light of consciousness. So ahaha iva ahaha. That is right. So vijñapti atma jyoti swarum ahaha iva ahaha. Avidushu api vijnanatma jyoti sampatti asti. But then consciousness is the nature of everybody. A wise person as well is ignorant. So why do you say that the wise person only, for him alone, this night becomes day? Anyatha jagat andya prasangat. If ignorant person also has not consciousness, then he would not become conscious of anything. And then there will be jagat andya, meaning there will be no light and no knowledge at all. So says avidusha prakasha avarana pisyat. For ignorant person there is light of consciousness, all right, but there is avaranam, the veil of ignorance as well. Vidusha tatna, whereas that is not there for the wise person. That avaranam is not there. So sada ekarupam vidusha sampadhyate. For wise person, light alone remains. There is no avaranam or a veil of darkness, of ignorance. Jyotisvarupam sada ekarupam sampadhyate iti anvayaha. So Vignapti Atma Jyoti Swarupam Sada Eka Rupam Sampadhyate. That's how the words have to be connected. Avyanam Anekarthatvat Sakrut Shabda Sada Shabda Paryaya. So Sakrut Vibhato Brahmaloka. So Vasya Sakrut is Sada Vibhata. Word Sakrut is interpreted as Sada. So Sakrut is an indeclinable. Means once, but it can also mean all the time, forever. Continuing with the next one, Vidya Phale Yathokta Ritya Vyavasthite Sati. Yathokta Ritya stated earlier, Vidya Phale Sthite Sati, that is the result of the knowledge. What is the result? Andahasan Anando Bhavati, Viddasan Aviddo Bhavati, Upatavisan Anupatavi, etc. Etat phalam vidyavatuna kesham siddhyati. Who are those who can gain this knowledge? So this is the result of knowledge, all right, but then who will be able to gain that knowledge? Iti asankya. So who are the people who are qualified for this knowledge? Tatra iti. So then going to the next passage. Or same thing, Purvaktaya Sarvasya Stute Brahmacharya Vidisheshatam Darshayitum. All this stuti that is done of the Atma is for extolling Brahmacharya. Because for Atma such as that, Brahmacharya also is worthwhile. So the intention of all of this, Arthavada, is for the Vidhi of enjoining Brahmacharya, celibacy as the sadhanam, as the spiritual means for this upasana. So Brahmacharya Vidisheshatvam, Arthavada does not have Tatparya in its own sense. It's always Tatparya in other one, in the Vidhi. And therefore Vidisheshatvam, all of these serve the purpose of Vidhi, Sheshatvam. Tad ye evametamidi vakyagadam tat shabdam vyataste. So, tat shabda of the next passage, explained Bhashyakara, tatra evam sati. Let us read the next passage. Tadye eva etam brahmalokam brahmacharyena anuvindante tesham eva esha brahmalokah tesham sarveshu lokeshu kamacharo bhavate. That ye eva etam brahmalokam brahmacharyena anuvindante. So those who reach this Brahmaloka through the means of brahmacharya or celibacy, tesham eva esha brahmaloka, for them alone there is a Brahmaloka. If you reach Brahmaloka without brahmacharya, then there is not this Brahmaloka. The idea is that, so this Brahmaloka, the nature of Brahmayaloka, or Sakrut Vibhata, etc., is only for those who reach Brahmaloka through the means of brahmacharya. Apparently you can reach Brahmaloka without brahmacharya, then it is not this Brahmaloka. It is so-called Brahmaloka. Tesham sarveshu lokeshu kamachara bhavati. For those who reach Brahmaloka through the means of brahmacharya, they have the freedom of movement in all the worlds. Says Bhashyakara, Tata Tatra Evam Sati Etam Yathoktam Brahmalokam Brahmacharyena Stri Vishaya Trishna Tyagena Shastracharyopadesham Anuvindante Swatma Samvedyatam Apadayante Ye Teshameva Brahmacharya Sadhanavatam Brahmavidam Esha Brahmalokah Na Anyesham Stri Vishaya Sampargajata Tushnanam Brahmavidam Api Ityarthaha. Tat means what? Tatra evam sati. That's the seventh case. Tat is tatra evam sati. Again sati saptami. That being the case. Etam means yathoktam brahmalokam. Brahmaloka, which is stated earlier, what is apahata papma, yesha brahmaloka, etc. And so, sakal vibhato eva yesha brahmaloka, apahata papma yesha. So this brahmaloka, such as apahata papma, sakal vibhata, brahmacharyena anuvindanti. Stri vishay trishna tyagena, by giving the craving for anything connected with the stri or the women. Shastra, then Shastra, Acharya, Upadesha, Manu, of course, then require the Upadesha, the teaching of Shastra and the Acharya. So, Vindante means what? Attain, Swatma Samveditam Apadayanti. They make this Brahmaloka as the object of their own self-realization. Teshameva, of them only. So again the Teshameva comes from the Shruti. Brahmacharya sadharamatam eva. So Brahmacharya sadharamatam brahmavidam. The knowers of Brahman who have gained that knowledge through the means of Brahmacharya. For them alone there is Brahmaloka, nanyesham, not for others. Stri vishay sampargajat trushnanam, with the cravings for things connected with the stri, etc. Brahmavidam, even though they may be so-called Brahmavid, for them this Brahmaloka is not there. Some other Brahmaloka can be there. This Brahmaloka cannot be even for the knowers of Brahman as long as they have not attained that knowledge or realization through the means of Brahmacharya. That is by extolling Brahmacharya. Siddhanagiri Brahmacharyatam Vidyadvara Brahmakhyo Loka Phalati ityartha. So, Brahmacharya Vatam, for those who follow the vow of Brahmacharya, for Vidya Dvara, not by just Brahmacharya, Vidya Dvara, by Upasana or by knowledge. Brahmakhyo Loka Phalati, they attain the world or realm called Brahma. Good other tika, Tatrevam Sati, Prashastatve Sati, that's what it is. Tatrevam Sati. Prashastatve sati, means Brahmaloka being so glorious as apahata papma, as sakrut vibhata, and then where that being what? And so, etam sedum tirtva naktam ahareva vinishpadyate. So Brahmaloka being so glorious, therefore all this follows. Anushabdarthamaha. So, anuvindanti shastra acharya upadesham anu. So, in keeping with the upadesha of the shastra and acharya. Then Tika says, etam, ete, sham, esha brahmaloka edi, adhikam, anuvindanti dhyanena, brahmaloka labhasya uktattvadi ashankya. Not ete sham, but tesham. So, Shruti says, tesham eva esha brahmaloka. Ye etam brahmalokam brahmacharya anuvindanti tesham. So why do you, already people are said who attain brahmaloka, then tesham eva, why are you saying that again? Looks like it is an extra. So he says the anena brahmaloka labhasya uktattvadi ashankya, already brahmaloka labha, so brahmacharya anuvindanti is already said. Says jivataha vidusha स्वस्य देव भाव अपरोक्षता मात्रमेव लाभः विन्दन्ति इति अनेन युच्यते न साक्षात् देव. Anyway, that's, he goes on a different track, that you get the Brahmaloka as long as you are alive. Brahmaloka is only the paroksha is there, and when you depart from the body, becomes aparoksha or something like that. Anyway. Satu dehapada uttar kalamiti abhipretya vindandi padam vyachaste. And so, again, earlier he said dehabhyana lakshana shariratva abhima abhava. Here he says dehapada uttar kalam. Anyway, so departing with this body. But so, you don't realize Brahman after departing with this body. If his realization, it must have been there only when you are in this body. It's a matter of going to Brahmaloka, then of course, then Brahmaloka is different from earlier Brahmaloka. But the Brahmaya Loka earlier, and then this Brahmaloka is Brahma Loka. Anyway, so, Evakadhava na means what? So, na nyeshamiti. So Anandagiri said, Te Samaveti Evakar Dyotimarthama Na Anyasham. They alone attain this Brahmaloka, not others. Brahmavidam api, Bhashyakara, Brahmavidam api iti Vang Matra Brahmitvam Uchyate. Some people will be so-called Brahmajnanis, but they cannot attain this Brahmaloka if they did not follow the vow of Brahmacharya. Tesham Brahmacharyatam Brahmavidam iti avata. So Brahmacharyatam Brahmavidam. That's how we have to see. Brahmacharya sadhanadeva brahmitvena brahmakhya loka bhavati. That is, the loka of the nature of Brahman can be realized by those who have the sadhana of brahmacharya. Tasmat, therefore. Then Bhashyakara said, Tesham sarveshu lokeshu kamacharo bhavati iti uktartham. This phrase has already come, that they have the freedom of movement in all the realms. Freedom not in the sense of moving, but whatever they want. Pitruloka kama bhavati. So loka was interpreted as the object of pleasure, and whatever object of pleasure they want, that manifests itself before them. So again, that was only the glorification of the knowledge. Then says Bhashyakara, Tasmat Paramam Etas Sadhanam Brahmacharyam Brahmavidam Iti Vipraya. Tasmat Paramam Etas Sadhanam Brahma. Therefore, this Sadhanam Brahmacharya is supreme for Brahmavidam, for those who wish to know Brahman. So, not for the knowers of Brahman. So, Brahmavidam iti bhavini vrittim ashritya uktam. So those who want to realize Brahman, for them, Brahmacharya is the most supreme means. That's how Brahmacharya is praised here for enjoining Brahmacharya as a sadhanam. Sadhanam Brahma Vidyam iti shesha. So sadhanam Brahma Vidyayam Brahmacharyam Brahma Vidam iti. Alright, so that concludes that passage as well as this particular khanda. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.